It's definitely rough when you lose the opening game in your home arena. It was experienced by Snake. It was now experienced by LGD off the back of that decisive victory by Victory 5. Hello and welcome back to the LPL for Week 5, Day number 5. My name is Shaker Serix Osipenko. This is Raz Barento Muhammad. I got it wrong, but that's all right. We'll get there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving into the second game, as well as slapping the table, and that is something I do enjoy naturally. I also enjoy a little bit of spice from my top lane with a bit of ribbon to just make it luscious.
It was luscious. I don't know if luscious ever is a cooking term, but it definitely was something you see on Jinu, on LGD, on Victory 5, 100% win rate, 3 games. That's fine. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. You already look at boom, boom, boom over there. That's a great KDA to have. And so it's insane that Jinu can actually come out with this consistently and be able to have great performances off this.
Man, 32 KDA feels pretty good right now if you're Jinu, so that is a top laner to watch and definitely a top lane pick to watch. It was left until, was it even left? Yeah, it was left till the very last pick there, and it was something like, oh, we saw the Camille, we saw the safety, and if you're going to pick up something like a Sion, we can run that.
That's the thing. I think the value of it here, they knew that it was going to be a Camille jungle, but they were like, this is just safe in terms of just ganking power. Sometimes people pick up Poppy top lane, not because it's the best tank, but it's certainly the safest one when you know you're going up against Camille Jarvan or something. How are they going to gank you? Or a Gragas. In this instance, there was no way for the Camille to really gank. That was actually a really well-executed Camille topside to be able to go into second bush.
True.
And then it was like, okay, well, you're in a position where you should be able to, against any other champion, get the stun across on the top laner, follow it up, easy kill. And it's not maybe just flash, but she has to base. Riven just says, I have 2 dashes. Well, technically 3 if I use 4 if I use my 3 dash on my Q and then my E, and was able to get out of there while not seeing the Camille. So in terms of just reaction rate, Jinu has those.
Yeah, he does.
He's insane to be able to get out of laning phase so well, and the safety of having the 20% CDR early on just had a great. He was fine up until once he got those recipes, he was good.
And although it was, exciting to see the Riven, and we were talking a lot about Banner 4, at the end of the day, I believe it was Y4 who got the MVP, unless I heard a 4 in my ear and it was just another 4. Which 4 is it? It is Y4.
Look, there's a lot of 4 in this game. The 4 in his kills, Y4 in his name, Ben 4. And if you understand the Chinese language, S is 4, and guess what it means? It's kill. Or it's death. It's death, actually. It's actually death.
Okay, well, that's ironic.
But the man didn't have any deaths.
Yep.
He had a lot of kills on that front. In terms of just bloodthirstiness of this game, it felt like it was certainly there. Every time they moved towards Baron, the objective was the fight after Baron. It was actually just pulling people in so they can, the Galio ultimate can come through. Jinu was definitely finding avenues into the squishier front line, which was literally everyone except for Sion. So I thought that they waited, they were patient enough to see Sion go forward and then just play around him.
And then from here, we then say, all right, cool, Sion is still a great pick, but there needs to be... When you have a unique pick like Riven in the draft, I know, making clay. When you have a unique pick like Riven in the draft, you suddenly go, okay, probably need to ban that or change our draft around so it can't be so as easily viable.
I do not think that Riven is a problem in the meta. Huh? I think that if you're going up against Jinu, obviously he's a Riven connoisseur. It's fine if you're on blue side if you want to ban it, but in this situation, Camille and Sion are completely fine. You just have to recognize that in team fights, that's when you're most valuable, and in a lot of the times in team fights, technically that's where Riven needs to find venues to push the game forward. She can't be consistently split pushing side lane. Sion's gonna stand as a major tank in between her and a tower until she has 4 or 5 items, but the game has gone too far, and the game is now more about Baron and Dragon. So I think that if you're dealing with that composition, Galio I think is a major problem, where they're finding so much comfort in picking the Riven because when she goes in, she's not going to be in front of 4 people for long. She's in, Galio ultimate comes through, taunts there while she is still doing damage. So I think Galio allows for so many picks to become engage options as well.
Sure.
So when Galio first came out, or at least the rework came out, we were starting to see a lot more Kha'Zix jungle as well, because you're like, wait a minute, Kha'Zix's issue is that he's a great skirmishing jungler, but he's a poor engaged jungler. Not if all he has to do is just jump in. It's like, I jump in, I press ultimate, and I pray to the Lords that
it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. I'm kind of excited that we're actually seeing more Galio support tonight. The go-to has been the Galio support, and especially since 9.2 I don't think we see those nerfs. I think Winds of War is in 9.3, so we don't see the damage nerfs. Mid Galio is still as viable as ever, but teams opting to take it and then put something like the Urgot mid, putting something like, tonight we've seen the Syndra mid as well, more of either a carry threat or something that's a bit more holistic towards the composition.
Yeah, and so I think what you're getting, you're seeing so much more creativity.
Yep.
Creativity around the assassins that you have on the map. Akali and Galio have been really the go-tos for a lot of these teams now. Akali top lane in the previous series that you saw, but also just Akali mid lane from what LGD showed us when they went up against Fun plus Phoenix, actually. So if Akali is left open, expect Yuki to want to play that. If a Galio is left open, expect the Galio to go to the support role. It's funny that now Galio's been pushed out of the mid lane because that's where it's safest to have assassins. And assassins are, like, if you were using it in unison alongside a Galio, that's when they become more than just viable. They become very strong. And I think, obviously, in this patch, Akali is just a major priority. But then you start asking questions more so, like I already said Kha'Zix's jungle, but there are a few assassins that you're starting to see globally, as Zed comes to mind.
Oh,
that you saw from Nuke Duck in EU, that you can just see being a reasonable option here.
It's pretty 9.4 as well, just as a side note. Very heavily around patches at the moment. There's just so much going on in the 9.2, 3, and 4 patches.
And we haven't even touched the 80 carry
I
patch.
know.
It's like it's a mid-season patch, it feels like.
Yeah.
And we're in the past.
we're in the preseason right now. We're in 9.2. We want to get there. On a side note, just talking about Galio a little bit more, I very much appreciate that Khorne's most played champion is Galio, so if we see it again for Victory 5, doesn't necessarily mean they rinse and repeat down to the bottom.
It's pretty nice to see that the flexibility, especially if you look closer at Khorne as a player. A lot of people just said that Khorne wasn't like anything special. Remember after Worlds, his stint with Starhorn Royal Club, it was like, well, he's a weaker player.
Yep.
It was Uzi that carried them to final. That's what everyone says. You know what? There's some semblance of truth, but it wasn't like he was an awful player. He was good in the. He was a strong player domestically.
There. Yeah.
And for him, he had to really go soul searching. He went into the LDL. He changed his username from Khorne to Miss, and then he was going to change his name when he came back to the LPL. Found that opportunity with Newbie, and I thought what you saw from there was a Khorne that was willing to be a lot more aggressive as a player, be an assassin player, pick up talent, try and get yourself some early leads, right? Not just be the fizz player, be something more than that. And so slowly but surely he grew. And so even though you could say he peaked early on in his career, it being in Season 2 Worlds,
that's definitely fair.
But he is so young as a player and still going,
I think Clement and I sat down and we're like, Khorne's 20 at the moment. How long ago did he go to Worlds?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so insane for some of these players. You look back and you're like, well, they can't retire yet. It's like 20-year-old retirement makes no sense.
Yeah. Your parents ask, what are you doing? You're like, I'm retired. Got a lot of money. You know how much money's in China? You're fine. You retire at 20.
Well, technically back then you ain't making that much.
Yeah, that's true.
But now he's benefiting. Why retire when you're making them franchise dollars? Especially last year when he really made a name for himself, put himself back on the market with how he played on TOP.
He's also done that this year as well, and although that was old TOP that, you know, did make playoffs, now in the face of V5, he's got a new legacy to uphold. He doesn't want to be outshone by someone like Jinnu, Y4. We'll go into the second game with that in mind, considering that the Galio seems to be a highly protected pick here, but LGD say no to Lissandra first after banning away Ben 4's Gragas.
All right, make the adaptation to ban in the Lucian here. God, you want to see what Victory 5 would actually move towards. A Cassiopeia is available.
Yeah.
Y4 is a great mage player, so if a Cass is ever opted into, I would expect to go to a Y4 rather than a Khorne. Khorne can play Cassiopeia, but I think they want to be able to give him more power, and having Cassio bot lane would just give you so much, you know, free push.
It's interesting that they would actually prioritize Tahm Kench here, considering they could have a double flex up for V5. But moving away from it instead. So with Tahm Kench locked in, one of Lay's most played champions, I believe.
Zoe got banned out here too. And Zoe is a pretty good option into the Cassio. So it really just depends on which team blinks first, because Lissandra is already a good indication that LGD want that engage. And a great way to deal with the Cassio is through either poke, pick, or just all in, try and just pile on her really early on. So it could just be a Lissandra early, and then just LGD trying to bait V5 forward. Just remember though, that could be why I already mentioned the AD carry being able to pick it up.
Yeah.
And a Tom Kench being there is also a great indication that we have the safety to reposition our low mobility mages and carries.
It means that, look, you're going to try and make it difficult. I think LGD see this one coming. If they go all in against the Cassio, then that's the champion to do it on. Kalista Thresh locked in, and V5 might not even consider it. They might leave it till the second phase,
It's
and
fair
it is the
not
Ashe.
She has a low win rate in the LPL. When she's reared her head, Cassiopeia has not done well, and it's because teams have picked smart around it, knowing that she is, yeah, sure, a great dominant team fighter, but her major issue is her range. And also just proficiency. A lot of AD carries have picked it up, and you're not proficient as I don't care who you are. If you're playing AD carries all your life and you're trying to pick up Cassio after a week, you're not proficient enough in Cassiopeia to be able to confidently player to her 100% on competitive. So that's why this team, Victory 5, are like, okay, you can have whatever you want. You've just picked Lissandra and your bottom lane. Unless if you put Lissandra top, you're not going to have a Cassio yourself, so we're fine with that.
Doesn't fit Lai's champion pool is the next question towards that, because he's been on things like the Jax, like the Urgot, so he's been on pretty standard top lane stuff, and with a wide range, wide variety, LGD starting to ban away other top laners, or mid laners rather, in the Vladimir. And Camille actually taken away, so Condi's going to have to change champions. His Olaf's not available too, but Lee Sin is, Raz. I mean, I guess you take that away.
Lee Sin's available, Nocturne's available. I would expect the Nocturne, honestly, with the Camille and the Kindred being banned.
Okay.
The Kindred being banned allows, there we go. That's real funny.
That's great.
It's on red side, it's on blue side too on second phase, so just give him, just take away some of his counter pick options. Makes sense.
Here we go. If you can't get Riven, give him Sylas. Now, in competitive, we've only really seen the top lane Sylas, but Korn does have a wide champion pool. It is an Urgot there as well, so you're guessing and then you're saying, okay, Liza's going to have a second attempt at Yorick.
Yeah, you never truly know. I've seen a few, especially in the LCK, I think Chovy's come out with it, Aftershock Sylas, that you can throw in the mid lane. So it's still possible. It's just fun to see that early on when people were teching and they're like, yo, Electrocute Sylas is excellent. You know, all this damage that you can get, maybe even like fleet footwork, and then you realize people just clamp down on what's tankier, what gets you through the laning phase early on. It's Aftershock and Grasp of the Undying. So you're right, it could be a top lane, and it really does go through what Jinnu does best. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to Jinnu's hands, and the Aatrox that's being hovered at the moment goes to Korn.
Okay, well, I mean, it should go to Ben 4 realistically. They don't have a jungler just yet. They lock down the Aatrox, and that should be an Aatrox jungle.
I've seen an unfortunate Urgot jungle gameplay from Excel earlier this morning.
Oh, really?
So
see, that was a mistake earlier in the LPL. Where, was it the LPL? Yeah, it was LPL. About a week ago, we saw the 20-second Urgot jungle. But we got absolutely baited in, so I'm glad we got time to focus.
That's true. That's true. Now, Aftershock Aatrox is so much better. You finally get to see... and yep, it looks like it's going to be a Sylas mid unless they throw it around on us. But I love the idea of a Sylas mid. Remember, Lissandra's fairly immobile herself if she's not using her E. And the hook that you have is such a great gank setup from Sylas.
Yeah.
The fact that he wants to rank up his E first, which means that he could E, use his passive.
Yeah.
E again, which is a hook, passive again. That's a lot of damage early on in the game. And the Aftershock, so you can't really be traded into. And then if a jungler is clued in on when you're engaging, you can then set up around mid lane, really focusing on the Lissandra. I think it's more so calling to the fact that Aatrox is going to be circling around this lane.
It also fits our story very well here, as we talked about Korn and how he wanted to slowly start making a name for himself again, get past the time when he was kind of down and out. But for Korn, on the Sylas mid, the very first Sylas mid of the LPL. Now, if you don't watch LPL much, we do not see many Sylases. We either see them top or we don't see them at all. It's quite rare, and they're not usually banned away. So V5 have a game plan in mind to just bring this out in game number 2.
Yeah, it's great to finally see the Sylas come through, dodging out the Yorick lane, which is necessary because that's going to be a tough lane for both picks. Sylas and Urgot would have an issue dealing with that.
Yeah.
He has a few ultimates that he can utilize, so we're going to have to talk about that when we get into game.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Game number 2. a unique pick in each game so far, but in the home arena of LGD, they now have to fight back, bring us to a game 3. Otherwise, V5 will be starting to climb that ladder. I feel like there's contention for who's actually going to set up the chance of V5.
Just so you know, they're saying V-Wu. Wu is 5 in Chinese, so that's the V5 chant coming through. What's going to be interesting to see, we just go through what Korn has available for his ultimate. Now, technically, you could say, okay, Liza's ultimate seems, okay, it's all right. Lissandra ultimate, okay. Condi's ultimate might be good, depending on the situations in which he's using it, but he doesn't have the attack speed to basically keep it up. It's kind of bare, is my point. It's not really, there's not a plethora of ultimates that you can look to and say, this is excellent, that I can actually use for myself.
That's true. As a side note to everyone out there watching, as a Silas going up against Kalista, you do get the spear in your inventory when you start out, as you can see there. And Korn has not bound it to anyone just yet, but you'd expect him probably to put it onto Lei or maybe Ben 4. Even Jinu's viable.
Yeah, and I think that's the major one you're looking for, that he can utilize, is the Kalista ultimate as a protective pick at times. Maybe he can utilize it, tag onto an Aatrox would be pretty nice to see.
Ooh.
Nice ward early on.
Same again. Well, maybe last time it was Ben 4 trying to get the bottom lane. I think it was. But he's coming back down to the bottom lane now. A 1v1 with Condi and Ben 4.
A one-camp start from both of them.
Yep.
For Aatrox, it's much more natural because he's taking his red side. He's coming, oh my goodness, please stop
Might
it.
actually pay off. Ben 4 stops Condi from getting into the lane as well. Aftershock procced in, Condi comes in. Audacious charges in, he gets the knock up too. The flay doesn't land. Flash away and heal. RD into trouble, or maybe not this time. He flashes away himself. The summoners just come out left, right, and center. Ben 4 can't follow Condi up anymore. This is an interesting 3v3.
Yeah, you never know who comes out ahead of
Oh
my god, please get out of
Good
here.
devour there from Lei. Saves it for Y4 after getting hooked. And Condi tries to come back in as well. Ben 4's still here. Is that Condi's here? I'm staying.
Alright, please, someone just play chicken here. Get out of here. Aatrox is, I'm going to farm. Condi, you know what? You do what you want to do. Ben 4 is taking the smarter pick. Oh, bringing in the Thresh. Are they trying to contest for the Skull Crab? Too late.
Smite. Well played from Ben 4. He sees that Thresh is moving out of lane, just secures it rather than getting the contest. Probably.
This right here is actually the hardest point for a Silas mid,
okay.
Is that he pushes the lane, but he can't completely push it in. Makes it easier for a mid laner to actually deal with him, and also makes him a constant gank threat. So I'm pretty afraid for Korn, just because if Condi ever looks for a sign in from top side and tries to gank that lane, it's going to be hard. But here we go, scuttle to scuttle.
And Ben 4's trying for the double. He does have smite for this one too, but Condi just not going to check it. Ben 4 uses the smite eventually, hits level 3, is a level up on Condi. He's going to go for the blue buff.
Wow.
And this is aggressive from Ben 4. He knows where Condi is, and Condi just has to back away. He doesn't know what's going on.
This is Ning-esque. This is exactly what Invictus Gaming have done to every team they faced, where control wards aren't needed if your jungler is that ward. Scuttle Crab to Scuttle Crab, and he just tracks you. They know where Condi has been across the map, and it makes it so much easier for Y4 and Lei to lane, knowing that they don't have to worry about him.
RD, sneaky devil. He's actually been pretty on the mark with these hooks so far. And picking up the Thresh pick in game 2. Makes perfect sense. We've already seen a Kalista Thresh tonight, but to no avail in that game number 1 before. Kind of annoying. Yuki does have the range advantage here in this matchup, as you can see. Picked up a double Dark Seal on the first back, and still waiting for that spear to go into someone, Korn.
Yeah, range advantage, and also on top of that, perhaps just melee advantage. If you're just talking about like when they're both on top of each other, Aftershock there for Yuki.
Yep.
I think the damage is just there for him. A lot of mana is expended from a Silas as well if he wants to be able to shove out the wave and farm out. So the fact that he has teleport, well done. I mean,
thank you.
Thank you. A lot of people just trying to go for more combat spells if they're trying to look to solo the lane with an assassin pick.
I mean, Ignite got reduced by 30 seconds this patch as well, so it's very enticing.
That's true. So it just makes sense. Go teleport, match Yuki in lane so you don't fall behind in CS, and also you can already see what he's picked up here. Double Dark Seal, so he can utilize the potion that he has consistently.
Makes it a little bit easier to get the solo kill. RD's in on this. Condi's back to the bottom lane. Lane caught out here. 1, 2, 3. Late will be knocked up at the end. Condi flashes forward. Finds it. Ren for first blood for LGD. Finding another hook. Somehow, Y4's been caught out here as well. Ignite and flashed away, but teleports in. Jinu's here. This is a 3v2. Kramer finds the kill on the AD carry. There's a trade-off for V5. Kramer flashes away, but a double kill for respective jungle and AD carry. Here comes Korn, has the Lissandra ult before Lissandra even gets down here. Fear beyond death for Jinu. V5, they lost the early trade, but they bring it back now.
Kramer might have just been able to pick up the kill on Y4, but that cleanup crew from Jinu and Ben4 were so effective. 2 kills on Aatrox super early on. Now he has a bounty for himself. And then Jinu just going in for, you know, just a cheeky play on top of him. Let's take a look at this from the very beginning, because this was great from RD. He's been landing those hooks repeatedly, so of course you're going to jump in with Condi on the side. Now this is not Hail of Blaine, so he's going to have to, you know, really put in some work to get that knock up. Doesn't even need it just because of the damage was already overflowing. Here's the issue. They try to go for Y4 as a backend. He already has flash. If they had used that little bit of time that they had left to head right back, I think they would have come out ahead. 1 for 1 perhaps in the end with some teleport advantages. Unfortunately, they go for the kill. Ben4 and Jinu then smurf on them just a little bit. Boom. Oh. And it's much better for V5.
And you saw that Lies actually teleported to the bottom lane, but didn't have enough mana for Maiden of the Mist there. Whether it was available or not, whether it was level 6, doesn't really matter. Had absolutely nothing to play with and lost out on that trade. Jinu now returns to lane with a kill, walks to the top side. And Lies may be even on CS, but there's going to be a huge advantage there with Phage and Ruby Crystal picked up.
It's insane, actually, now that I think of it. I've seen so many Silas games. You know, the Kalista Thresh, I mean, the Kalista interactions, all of that, you know those by now. The one about Lissandra, the one I have questioned is the self-ult. It's funny, like, I'm pretty sure you can self-ult.
Yeah.
And if you can self-ult, then the actual, that's pretty damn good. Just looking across the board where you're like, I don't know which one I would want to pick up, but the self-ult that Yuki actually now has given him, it's an extra, I guess, stopwatch feel.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's pretty nice. You might see him want to grab onto that one more often.
Because he's going into the Catalyst of the Aeons, so I assume that's going to be a Proto Belt first on for Korn. And Proto Belt and then Lissandra ulti himself. He can just jump in and probably survive.
That's not a Proto Belt item, unless if he's going into GLP.
Sorry, yeah, that's right. Unless we do see a Rod of Ages, that'd be quite rare.
That would be very rare.
Oh my lord, RD's just been landing hook after hook. Lay has to be on mouth patrol. Which sounds dirty when I say it out loud.
I will say, ordinarily, I've seen the one Silas mid-game. I would say that he wants to go a little bit more tanky. It just depends on what the composition's really asking from. Because I can see a Rod of Ages game happening here. But what I would expect for him more often is like, I'm not, I'd say Abyssal Mask, something where it's actually really tough to see a mask here simply because the only AP threat is going to be Yuki.
Yep.
But if he's going to be looking to side lane a little bit more often with his teleport, it makes a lot of sense for me.
Okay, we'll see what that develops into, because at the very least, it's been so long since we've seen a Rod of Ages in the competitive scene. Not really anyone who builds it anymore. Is there?
Yeah, right. You know, what's his name? Cassidy?
Yeah, Cassidy. We don't see much Cassidy.
Yeah. Rise Cassidy. There's a lot of them that still do it.
Oh, hang on. A Fate's Call coming in. Lay face checks the brush. They actually get Y4, and they hook him as well. Lay flashing towards Ben4. Here it comes with the World Ender. Locked on down the turnaround. Condi has nowhere to go with the box down, but watch out for Korn. Ben4's in the back again and still hasn't died. Yuki's here. Korn has the ult now available. Will have the box to put up. A good turnaround, but Kramer has been the carry so far for LGD and looking to do it again. They turn that fight around and mitigate some losses.
Double kill for Yuki, and he had a real good setup, so there was no follow-up on the side of Victory 5. That's what you want to do, especially if you're a game down in the series. So well done from him. He's going to come back into the mid lane. Remember, he actually has double Dark Seal as well, so he's be stacking. So taking a look at the very beginning, going straight for Y4 at the outlook, just take a look at Yuki coming through. Because initially you're like, this is looking really good for Victory 5. Only issue is not only has Y4 put 3 members back, 1 in the grave by the way, and then he follows to get the kill on towards Y4 as well. So Really well done from Yuki to play that one out.
And giving themselves the drag, and on top of that, well, that would be the case if LGD stuck around, but that is the trade-off here. Another Infernal to follow suit, so a good game of Dragons here. If Victory 5 can hold on, but Ben 4, he gave so much gold over to the side of, I believe it was Kramer who killed him. Now 600 gold bounty on top of Kramer. Here's Blade of the Ruined King. The Callista is off.
Yeah,
and Yuki is as well.
Yeah, double 600. Yuki and Kramer have a lot of gold in their pockets, something they don't want to give up. It's nice to see them be able to have this much of a lead. Remember, like both of them have magical footwear, fair enough. There's a lot of magical footwear on the field right now, and that means that you get to your next item that much faster. So Kramer already has Blade of the Ruined King and 2 daggers. Is in a really good spot and looking for fights. So look at the replay. Is it saying that he didn't get his blue buff? Is that what I'm looking at? Let's see.
Wait, this is so small. What's going on?
Oh, I get it. You got it.
You got it. Okay.
You were standing still for a little bit.
What?
Nice replay. I'm missing something. I swear to God.
Okay. I think maybe Ben 4 was very slow to back. I don't know. I understand why that was not full screen. Okay. All right. Korn does actually have the Lysandra ultimate. Frozen Tomb available. Now, it's kind of like the stop hitting yourself. But still, so far. How do we have a bounty? How does Korn have a bounty? 117 CS at almost 12 minutes. So, farming the clock, maybe. But that's interesting. Mid. Yuki, ultimate down, drop down. This locks him down. Yuki might be able to ult himself. Takes 2 to the face. Here comes the perfectly timed Fear Beyond Death from Jinu. Big shutdown to the Urgot. Rift Herald has to be stopped for LGD.
Yeah, they thought they were secure enough in the top side to start Rift Herald with how well and secure Yuki was mid. Had no idea where Urgot was. This is going to be contested, but honestly, they're not going to be touching it.
Oh, RD can't find the death sentence. Ben 4 does have the World Ender. Korn's coming in as well. This is 4 members of Victory 5. Look at Jinu trying to reposition and sandwich in.
There we go. Patience is proc. All they needed was an extra member to walk in there. There is no way you're going to be doing it unless if you reproc it. Wait a second. It's already at half it. I'm pretty sure it's at half patience.
Yep. The only person who isn't here from V5 is Y4, but he has the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Lies has teleport if this fight continues. Let's go back to the Rift Herald Observer. Korn hits the turret for a bit of gold, but Ben 4's already started the fight. There's TP. Jinu here. Ignite on as well. Condi ulties, but Lay saves him. Lies is in. Ben 4 stuck in the backside. Maiden of the Mist now hitting Jinu freely. Ben 4 might die with Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Watch for Yuki again on the flank. Comes on in. Big root here from the Lysandra. The Wombo combo is only for LGD this time. Korn is free hitting again, but Lay just gets dropped down as well. Y4 can't get into the fight, and Yuki shifts the fight in favor of LGD.
They were playing it slow. It was effective. Really well done. Even the hooks coming in from RD, I would say he just can't miss on it.
Oh, yeah.
He's just hitting them time and again. Even with how well Lay played that one out, shipping the Urgot out to start the fight so he saved him, it just felt like they started the fight in such a poor position. That's where I want to see if there is ever a replay for this one, because we missed out how the fight had started out. Just seemed like the Urgot had already taken so much free damage from the Callista. Let's see how it happened. Because Urgot was coming in at a flank, it seems. That must have been why he had like a million spears in his back. So RD picks him up to start with. He's in a bad spot. Lay picks him up. So it was just a really bad position, what seemed like for Victory 5.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. It makes sense initially to have Jinu on flank on the outlook, but they just didn't have the members to begin with. Korn was mid lane at the time.
That play from RD as well. That was a 3-man play that kind of just brought them back in. No escape for V5. And Korn was kind of hitting his power there with the Rod of Ages now picked up. So I take that back. It's going to be 8 minutes left before we see that fully stacked. And Rift Herald was eventually picked up. LGD drop at bottom. And this is going to be the first turret of the game.
If we're going to have an MVP screen show up anytime, you know, the mid-game MVP, it would definitely go to RD. RD has been playing this one out so well as a Thresh. He's 9 for 9. 9 kills has happened on LGD's side, and he's been a part of all of them.
100% kill participation to boast about. RD goes golden. That's a stopwatch burn, but just to make sure that V5 can't kill him. 1k gold lead for LGD. This is going to get a second charge. And I'm hearing that.
Yeah, I'm
still hearing it.
Too, don't worry.
All right.
You know, it's how life is.
I think it's gone.
It's definitely gone. So you just pretty much if you pan the camera back and forth,
okay,
it won't hear it anymore.
Well, RD just survived. The Rift Roll gets another charge down, and B5
No, it's still there!
on the defense.
I lied to you.
Well, RD, let's go. You golden child. Ben 4 has to pop the world ender. That was easy, says Condi. This is gonna haunt our game, isn't it? It's 15 minutes. I can't do this for another 20 minutes.
He's the golden part of the map.
He's got 100% kill participation.
He's beautiful. He's gonna keep having that sign until he dies.
All right. Well, Infernal Drake picked up this time for V5. Can we go? Yep. Now he's gone. All right.
Yep.
Oh, like the Observer knows. Little V5. They're trying to go in for that blue buff once again. They're able to push them out this time.
I think Lies is, I mean, he's just trying to get push up here. Remember, major point for LGD is to go for mid lane turret. It's still up and available. You have the pressure on your primary carries. He just wants to have a push so he can shove. You can already see Ash and Tom Kench recognizing that and want to go to, you know, the siren on the map.
Very easy to spot out. I wonder if V5 can hear that.
I think it's once again one of the only us,
just us,
the peasant, you know.
Yeah, I feel like they'd stop the game if they could hear that.
The peasant spectators like us.
That'd be super annoying. All these hooks getting closer and closer from RD. If I push up to the mid lane, they can't get anything here. LGD just holding on is all they have to do. They've got a 4-1 Kalista, 4-1 Lissandra. Getting to that 20-minute mark where 2 items this early on would be devastating if V5 get caught in another fight.
Look at the slow push bottom lane. So we're just talking about the setup to that fight.
Oh, Kramer doesn't even have to dodge it. RD finds another hook, forces Cleanse out of lane.
So that was important. Had he hit that, they didn't have to worry about the bottom lane wave. They recognized it, and that's why they were forcing the pressure. Now someone from Victory 5 has to go.
They have to start the fight. Korn used the ultimate, or at least maybe it was a little bit too late. Not sure about the interaction. Yuki.
Okay, a little bit forced there. I don't know why LGD have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you knew that Urgot was going back bot side, so you didn't have to go that far above and beyond to force the fight. But Flash is gone from lane, so at least that's the case.
He's sitting at the back, just waiting for the devour. Ben 4 will be hooked in now. The World Ender is available up and again. He'll die and come back, but Lei was locked down with a Frozen Tomb over the wall. Korn's there, but Death Sentence lands again. Perfectly timed. LGD getting engaged on by Korn. For V5, they do find a response kill underneath the turret. Continues on. Glacial Path is not taken by Yuki. And LGD play it safe. The 1-for-1 trade is already much more than they wanted.
And there are 2 champions that I just hate, and they don't have to be a part of the fight for me to dislike. It's this one. So, in the meantime of all of that struggle, you know, already hitting hook after hook, the golden boy himself trying to hit up the mid lane tower, that was a struggle. And it was a bit of a trade. But in the end, LGD win because Lies is able to pick up top lane turret and have a great shove topside. This is just what you have to worry about. Trinity Force has already been completed a while back from Lies. And so now, it's just a game of split pushing and LGD buying time.
Let's see how they bought time, or at least forced the merit here.
So yeah, they just lock him down. Ben 4, of course, has the time to ulti. He heads up right back, but it's RD that says, nah, I'll take Thresh with me. I mean, I'll take the Tom Kench with me. Thresh dies at the same time. So you're like, this is a great trade. Only the fact that they lost the top lane turret. Gold goes to Lies, and now they can push pretty deep into the red side jungle with their vision.
But the best part is RD still has 100% kill participation, even though he died.
So. Oh, you better believe it.
LGD, you know, making sure their top player is always on that scoreboard. But second item, speaking of the scoreboard, is picked up by Kramer and Yuki at the same time. So Morel Nomicon and Gwinsu's Rageblade. Condi's closer towards what looks like a Asterix Gauge.
You wanna hear a good idea?
I would love to hear one.
All right, so you know one of those NBA Street games that, you know, when you're on fire, you're hitting everything.
Hang on, Ben 4 takes it forward. Yuki, remember, Ben 4 doesn't have the ultimate World Ender, about to be up, but Lei saves him. This is just getting hard for V5 to go anywhere but their lanes.
All right, let me finish my point.
What were you going to tell me?
So, my producer even tried to correct me. It's actually NBA Street Jams. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, if you're on fire, if you're like getting every dunk, every shot, you're going in a row, your character goes on fire.
Okay, all right.
Like visually speaking.
Right, this is in the game, yeah?
In the game.
Okay,
League of Legends needs that. Right now, you're having like not a very visually pleasing thing. It's like, oh, if you look down, like, you get 750 gold bounty. But I think that you should hear that constant Zhonya's noise on whoever is on fire.
Oh, man.
Annoy the enemy team, but also just let them know I'm on fire.
Could you imagine how many solo queue games would just be like thrown just because they hear that noise?
Yeah, they would hear that noise. I would also throw. I would be done with that game. It'd be a lot more effective of you know, FFs going through.
Yep.
Also more headaches.
Speaking of headaches, also just to let you know, RD is no longer making that sound because he died.
No,
so
it just actually happened. It wasn't because he died. Funny enough.
I'm pretty sure he died.
No, I noticed the moment it happened.
Oh,
the camera was on him at that
time.
time.
I wish you would have told me.
No.
Okay. Well, RD, nevertheless, he's picked up Zeke's convergence, so there's no stopwatch in there to recreate that, which I guess Raz would think is unfortunate. But another Infernal Drake. This is going to be the contestant. You can see LGD moving towards it. V5 baiting it out as they have vision priority here, but are soon going to lose that as Kramer just walks up and free with RD.
So they're not going to have Silas for this one. Makes a lot of sense, but I don't think he's actually going to be able to deal with Lies and split push as well. So this V5 losing out in quite a bit. Losing out in the split push top side, you can already see the top lane tower just getting chipped at. Also losing out in the Infernal Dragon. LGD just has so much pressure on the map at the moment.
Very, very...
Okay, do you respect this opinion now? He's been, look, if you look at the history, the track record from minute 0 to now 20 minutes in.
I mean...
He's changed his mind a few times.
I would too. Gold's pretty much even.
There are a lot of points you can see. Oh, well, now he's going down to victory 5. What is that? Don't even update at that point.
I don't know who updates it, but they're definitely on the fence, as would make sense. At this point in the game, we are kind of waiting around that Baron. Oh no, Yuki's caught out here, Raz. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there's no way to react. Very good pick here from V5, and RD's just walked in to try to save him. Face Core will save the day, maybe they flip him back. Kramer, Fear Beyond Death lands perfectly. Jinu runs in, the fight for V5. It looks so darn easy. Y4 can't get the range, but Korn's here just in case. That Baron that was being threatened, that's threatened by V5.
Dominoes toppling over is what you saw there. Not only did it start with Yuki, and you're like, okay, save Yuki at all costs. Then it was save RD at all costs, Kramer at all costs. Members kept falling, and now V5 have full control over Baron. But take a look at the most annoying part of the map. Thankfully, they push him away from it, and it's just going to be a Baron here for V5.
It's half health on the inhibitor turret, and if it didn't heal, I'd be very annoyed by that. But V5 take the Baron, and they'll reject the Yorick off of it as well. Objective picked up. V5 have the first meaningful gold lead in this game.
And I should have known. The moment the Colonel says it's going to turn, it's going to turn. Victory 5 finding the pick on Lissandra, who was likely looking for a flank, to be all honest with you. Look at that. That's a flank position that she's looking for. She just didn't know that that was the exact same time Lei and Ben 4 were going to be looking for vision control that side.
So, just caught out in the middle.
Yep, Domino's falling. RD saves him. Can't save Kramer, unfortunately.
That's so many bounties given over as well. And this is what
that's true.
A lot of people complain about is that bounties are a very good way to bring yourself back into the game. Well, usually it's the opponent complaining about it anyway, but 2 deaths, 1 on mid, 1 on bot, and that gold went over to the Urgot. That gold went over to Ben 4. Another good game here from the jungler of V5. He's found Yuki once again. Half their health. World Ender is available, but he goes golden first. This is the fight for Y4 if he can position well, but Ben 4 has already died out. Jinu's here too. Has the Fear Beyond Death. Redemption to heal him back up. V5 just want this turret.
They did a lot to get Ben 4 down, but of course, stopwatch and ultimate, he keeps himself up and still get the tower. That's pretty insane to see. Because RD, he's not missing a hook, but the payoff is starting to slim down.
Still got 100% kill participation, by the way. Just sort of let you know. LGD haven't picked up a kill, however, since that point. Hoping, oh, Gaoxing, I know that. Means happy.
Don't know a lot.
I don't know much Chinese, but I did not know Yorick says that. He's actually one of the first champions I bought on the Ionia server.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was a big Yorick fan. I think I told this to Clement all year. I was a big old Yorick fan. Yeah. Back when you could just ult yourself and be alive for 10 seconds after you died. It was like the original World Ender.
You could definitely see the how do I put it? The selfish Yorick players from the actual solid Yorick players, because they would ulti themselves rather than the Cassiopeia just like right next to them. Yeah. It happened. That's why I'm happy this rework came through.
Arguably as well, I think New York is stronger as well, especially in the side lane. Sterex Gage picked up second, and Lions is just going to be a menace there. Maiden constantly out here as well. And Korn has had to deal with that, but he picked up Iceborne Gauntlet as his second item. That was a while ago. There's now a bit of tankiness coming through.
And his Rod of Ages is fully stacked. So the fact that he's gotten to a point where his 2 items, which is a good hybrid point of damage. Iceborne Gauntlet, Rod of Ages fully stacked. He still deals quite a bit. Remember, he's always had the sustain because he's Silas, so he's in a good position if he ever gets to the back line. He's like, oh my god.
They just found Yuki again. He's locked down. He can't do anything here. Yuki, no response whatsoever. Second time he's been caught out, and because of that, B5 can now walk towards this inhibitor turret.
They have a lot of pick in this composition. That's not the only one you're going to be seeing with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so you have to back away.
They literally can't do anything here. Look at where Yorick is trying to get an inhibitor as response, but Ben4 just wants to end the game. Teleport coming in. That's what the World Ender will force. He doesn't get the dunk down, and B5 might have to back away, but Jinu's still coming in. That death sentence. What the hell? RD's on a journey. Have fun in the deep end, man. This is LGD getting absolutely cleaned up. They're in such a comfortable position, Raz, but now Lies has been caught, and V5 are looking to end the game.
Only one member up. And I'm pretty sure Kandi can't do a damn thing about it.
Oh,
this was a tough one for LGD. They fought hard. The members were strong, but you have one misplay. Wait, is the game over yet?
Yeah, Kandi, look, I mean, at least he tried to save the day. Yuki's still here. V5, you need to just go for something, but Yuki will end 4-4-4. And Korn on the Silas makes mid look good by the end of the game, but this was a topsy-turvy one, but all the same, a 2-0 by V5.
It's crazy how fast a game can turn.
Yeah.
That was LGD control, turned on a dime. Lissandra trying to go for a flank. Messes up. Bottom, like, they lose so much. Boom. Baron. It's a Baron game, my friend. League of Legends, call it League of Baron. Because that's how fast it can turn. It's the most important objective on the map. And
we've never seen a game end that quickly after one objective.
Because it was just a freight train. There's so much picked from this composition. And Ben4 is going to be feeling a little bit slimy coming out of this game because he had a really bad performance getting hooked repeatedly by RD. And RD is going to be feeling robbed.
Yeah.
He's going to feel upset.
I mean, RD just flew from all the way in the base to all the way to the back line. That was...
His chair's empty. He left quick. I'm going to be honest. He's gone.
He would have been so upset.
Didn't even say a word, man. That guy picked up his keyboard, mouse, and he's like, nah, I'm seeing you later.
It's so rough as well because RD had such a good early game. RD just had such a good game.
Yeah.
And that's really not fair.
The series was strong from LGD. For a strong series from them to lose out 2-0, it's telling. Because coming into this series, they had some promising performances. Being able to take down IG, taking FPX to 3, and then now going up against Victory 5, they must have had sky-high confidence.
Yeah.
But Victory 5 cleaned the clocks with them.
So, Raz, we need to do a cork board at some point, apparently, you know, to
What's
link in.
What's a cork board?
A cork board is like a, you know, a board that has cork, it's made out of cork.
What the hell is a cork?
Cork.
A bulletin board?
Yeah.
Is that how you say? We need to stop hiring Australians.
No.
Put a global ban on Australians.
Let me tell you one thing,
okay,
right?
Go for it.
And, you know, I know Rusty's somehow watching this.
Global ban.
It's a cork board is made out of cork.
Continue on with your point. I don't want to hear it.
I can't even remember. Something about RD being good. Probably about Jinu being good. Okay. I think was the main takeaway from that game is that Jinu was the one refining factor in that second game.
He was. I think that Jinu coming into this game, especially there were 2 picks that were key for me. When they got on Lissandra had a way out. Like RD gave him the hope. It was when they decided that, you know what, if specifically the Kaisa, the oh my goodness, I've never seen this. The AD carry.
Yeah, great.
When she was trying to save up the Thresh, you know, in vulnerable position, obviously, for just Urgot to be able to grab you out of it. I thought that Jinu had some really highlight moments, especially at the end.
Yeah.
The end, you didn't expect that. You just expect the top lane tower to go down, maybe inhibitor as well. But it just felt one person after another was coming through off the pick, especially off of the Urgot. It wasn't pretty, and it's oftentimes how we end up describing a lot of the games from Victory 5. But and LGD to be fair, but for Victory 5, they find these wins for a same reason.
Yeah.
Strong players. Jinu's incredibly strong. His first game off of Riven goes to show that. You also get to see that from specifically, I'd say all these players did really well for themselves. Y4 came up really big. And so I would love to know who gets MVP this time around. I know we'll find out soon enough.
I mean, it's difficult because the game was like we didn't see too much from V5 in the sense that it was just, 5 minutes of solid play. I think Korn was probably quiet considering that, I mean, he had a lot of kills by the end, but it was like, what ultimates did he steal? We saw the Lissandra ult pretty much all the time. The box was used.
That was one of those silent games for a Silas where he was getting shoved and constantly looking to rotate. So he was there in position when they were looking for a bottom lane dive, and he was in the top side at the right time. So like for a coach looking at that, you're like, you did a good job, Korn. Like, you got my MVP for whatever that counts. He did everything that you would expect. He played a patient game, which is something we didn't see from Korn like in previous years, like 2 years ago, I'd say. This time we're seeing a more rejuvenated Korn, someone who's a veteran, but at the same time has the mechanics you can play around. So good job from them being able to bring this game back.
I just realized what I was going to talk about before with the
cork board. Go for it.
I'll show you a link after. But with now, so Victory 5 2-0ing LGD, LGD 2-0 to IG. I mean, does that mean V5 are better than
not
IG?
This. Not the circular logic of every team beating each other. That happens with every split. And I know NALCS had that issue a little while back too. I would say there are certainly teams that are day-to-day teams. So like day-to-day teams for me are like teams like I'll say Victory 5 as a great example since they ended up winning. That you do not know how well they're going to be performing until they come into the day. That you feel as though like, my goodness, they had excellent coordination as a team when they went up against BLG, and I was like, you know what, this is looking really good. And then the next day it all falls apart because it comes down to the same game of discipline. Are they disciplined to be able to come onto the map and execute the same game plan with like different compositions, or do they need that one composition? I think today's game was still, that question comes to mind because LGD had a really good game too that fell to the wayside, but still the question is there. But yeah, the LPL, especially in the spring split, there's a lot of growing. A lot of growing pains. IG feels that too. Teams are starting to take wins off them that are not named RNG. It feels like the teams that are the most consistent, FPX, are the ones that come out ahead like oftentimes.
Yeah, very true. I mean, FPX the only undefeated team at the moment, and everyone wants me to say that they're going to MSI, they're going to Worlds. Let's be honest, we don't know who's going yet, and that's just purely because, like you said, it's a spring split and everything's every which way. For V5, though, what they can be happy about is that they're one of the few teams in the LPL that has a positive win rate. They're one of the few teams that actually, they've played the least games of the LPL as well, alongside RNG. So that was their 5th series, and 3-2 is not a bad way to start, especially since it's only week 5.
Definitely, and we're nearing the halfway point for the split. For a lot of people, if you look in North America, they're like, wow, we just started the split. What are you guys is that the halfway point? That's when you really have the discussion about the road to playoffs. Because for V5, they are aiming for that. There are so many teams that are doing that. OMG still, like every team right now that are at last place can still make playoffs. And especially like teams, the new team like Sino Dragon that are in a pretty decent like Billy that have that are even in wins and losses. They are vying for that position, so every win counts, especially Victory 5, they're never going to see. They're leaving Hangzhou forever. Like, they ain't coming back to this. It's a single round robin. And so for them to be able to nick this win, go back, and then now really try and steal wins from teams that are above 500, that's when you really can call yourself a playoff team.
True. Especially if Korn wants to rise to the occasion again. However, if Korn wants to rise to the occasion, he's got to beat someone like Ben 4. We go into our MVP of Game 2, and it was the jungler of Victory 5. So although, it was a bit of a questionable early game, let's just say what it is.
I don't agree with
decent.
This.
You don't?
I don't agree with him.
You would have given it to
I think
Jinu?
He had the crucial pick-off onto Lissandra. But my God, he made that thresh hook seem like a skill shot. For a champion that had a dash, he was getting hit up every damn time his waking moment. Now, I will say this. His engages were great. He was able to stick in a fight for so long when he got picked. He's like, I'm not dying immediately.
He's ult popped about 5 times. 5 out of 5.
I would give this game over, and I know it's always hard to give it to a team that just miraculously won a game. Sporadically, I would call it. I think Jinu did a very good job. I think not a lot of, you already mentioned it, but not a lot of praise goes to a player that's very silent, but it can still come out in team fights and make a big splash. I also thought that Mid lane, once again, we already talked about Corn. So those two players, usually they get the MVP, so this time they wanted to trade it up. So I would still say good job to V5 being able to pick it back up.
I think Bedford as well, especially shown himself here. But we have to move past this series because coming up, this is our match of the week. This is literally so important that the team that wins here could be one of the world's representatives. It's so early. I know we're going towards MSI, and I know there's a big call, but RNG TFP coming up next after this break. Don't go anywhere.